www.minhajwelfare.org पर देखें। ताज़ा तरीन वीडियोस और अपडेट्स के लिए फेसबुक, इंस्टाग्राम और ट्विटर पर जुड़े रहें।
Nikah, talaq, counseling on matrimonial disputes, Islamic wills, Islamic law of inheritance, or an Islamic verdict on any other issue. The Muslim Sharia Council is at your service. We provide official certification and our experienced and highly qualified imams are available to provide you with guidance when needed. MQ is based at 292 to 296 Romford Road, Forest Gate. We are open from Monday to Friday, 2 to 4 p.m. Or alternatively, call us now on 0208 257 1786.
अगर आप सोशल हाउसिंग में रहते हैं और कोई मसला हो तो शिकायत करने का तरीका जानें। मरहला 1, अपने लैंडलॉर्ड को बताएं। अगर ये फिर भी हल ना हो, मरहला 2, अपने लैंडलॉर्ड को शिकायत करें। और अगर आप उनके जवाब से खुश ना हो तो मरहला 3, हाउसिंग ओम्बड्समैन को शिकायत भेजें। वो इसकी मुनसिफाना तफ्तीश करेगा। एक महफूज घर का होना सबका हक है। अपने हुकूक जानें, मुलाहजा करें gov.uk/social housing।
अस्सलामुअलैकुम। सर्दियों में फ्लू और कोविड-19 ज्यादा आसानी से फैलते हैं और आपको सख्त बीमारी का शिकार बना सकते हैं, मगर फ्लू और कोविड-19 की वैक्सीन्स बहुत बड़ा फर्क ला सकती हैं। ये आपको महफूज रखती है और बीमारी से बचने में बेहतर तरीके से मदद करती हैं। इसलिए अगर इन सर्दियों में आपको ये वायरसेस लगते भी हैं तो आपको हल्के सिम्टम्स होंगे और आप जल्द सेहतयाब हो जाएंगे और आपके हॉस्पिटल में दाखिल होने के चांसेस भी कम हो जाएंगे। अगर आप प्रेग्नेंट हैं या आपको कोई लंबी बीमारी है जैसे कि सांस की बीमारी या फिर लंग्स, किडनी, लिवर या कोई दूसरी बीमारी, या फिर आपका बच्चा 2 या 3 साल का है, तो आप अपनी एलिजिबिलिटी चेक करें और अपनी वैक्सीन nhs.uk/winter vaccination पर ऑनलाइन बुक करें। वैक्सीन हासिल कीजिए और अपने आप को मजबूत कीजिए। शुक्रिया।
Revive FM
94.0 on the radio,
on your mobile
and online.
Good afternoon, hello and welcome. You are tuned in to Revive FM 94.0, where the heart of the Newham community beats. Don't forget to like, subscribe and comment on our YouTube page, Revive FM UK. And follow us on Facebook and Instagram under the same name. This is your host, Ali Fateh, and I'm hosting a special show today, Kashmir and the continuing struggle. Struggle continues. We are joined today by FM and very fortunate to have a guest, a special guest from Turkey, Mr. Tugray Evren, who's flown in today. And it's a great pleasure to welcome him and to host this particular show. And we have our friend of the show, Mr. Mahmoud Faz, chair of the Liberal Democrats, Friends of Kashmir. So, I want to welcome both our guests today. So, merhaba and salam alaikum to Tugray Evren.
I'm surprised that you can speak Turkish.
I learned the basics because the language is very essential to realize the hospitality that the Turkish people give. So I learned a few things there. Why not?
Yeah, I'm really happy to hear that. So when did you last time visit Istanbul? Actually?
I was there, Tugray, probably a few years ago, just before COVID. So
I see.
It's and all our listeners here, anyone who's been to Turkey, and many of our listeners have been to Turkey, they know exactly the feeling that people get when they land there. It's hospitality from the second you land anywhere in Turkey. So we all know exactly the great hospitality that Turkey offers, and hopefully we can offer the same to you here in England on a different level, but the warmth and hospitality and the love, I'm sure you'll experience.
I feel the same thing. We share, I think, the common culture, So, I'm really touched by the hospitality that was
Always a
shown.
pleasure.
Yeah,
What a
towards
welcome.
me here as well.
And a great opportunity to meet you. And I'm sure our listeners today will be very much enlightened and also nicely informed about not only the show, the topic today, but also how your involvement has been consistently in light of the particular topic, which Mr. Mahmoud Faz here has been a long-standing advocate for, as a social advocate for Kashmir, and a chair of the Liberal Democrats Friends of Kashmir for many years. And we've spoken many times, Mahmoud, as you know. So once again, always good to catch up with you. And thank you for introducing Mr. Tugre Evren to the United Kingdom once again.
No, you're welcome. Assalamu alaikum to all the listeners, and thank you for having me on your radio station again. And, we have to be, whenever there's injustice, inequality, we have to be there to be the voice and spread the word, because sometimes those people don't have the opportunity to put their voice out. And just simply giving the opportunity to put their voice out, we help to unify humanity across the globe. And I think Brother Tugre with his songs and poetry is ideal person for that, really. And Revive Radio is ideal for spreading that word as well. So, Shukriya, thank you very much.
Here. This is the key point, Mahmoud, that you pointed on, is the universal theme of humanity. And it's something which obviously has been resonating a lot given the current affairs in global politics and global issues. But the outstanding element of what has emerged over the last couple of years has been actually the lack of humanity, as you know. But as long as there are voices like yourselves, you gentlemen, are persevering, because that is what needs to be done. And of course, Revive FM as a radio station which has the ethos and the basic principles of obviously promoting values of humanity, but also social justice. And I think that's why today we can bring all those elements together and explore in our conversation and our discussion today. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Tugre Evren has a great portfolio of work which emanates from a long-standing history of starting off as a teacher and still a teacher. His connection with the United Kingdom is very strong because as a promoter of the English language and a person that has excelled in showing the best elements of the English language for all our listeners out there who want to know how English is being spread across the Levant and in the region where Turge is dominant in. He's been instrumental in advocating literature, poetry, which obviously then leads on to things like art, film, and all forms of creative talent and entertainment, which we have to face it with social media now in the highlight around the world. English is the common language. Of course, computers were mainly the mainstay of English dominance as a language, but now social media has also sort of taken that place. So, Tugre, you've been very innovative all the time, thinking ahead, and for promoting the English language and the study of English language. Tell us a little bit about that, and then the journey into poetry.
Yeah, of course. It would be funny, but when I was a student in high school, actually my English was zero, and I tell my students I became a hero from zero, because I was born, in Diyarbakir, a city in the southeast of Turkey, and just I went to a kind of normal high school, and then I tried to improve my own English, but honestly, in high school, my English was very bad. But then in a short time, I managed to learn English, and at university I studied English language and teaching. Then I did my master's degree in the field of, English language literature with a focus on post-colonial studies. So that's how my interest started, for the stories of oppressed nations. So those nations, English was imposed on them. They started using English, but they also created their own English as well. So, you know that story better than me. In the UK, when Irish people speak English, you know that like many unfortunately have lost their own language. The same thing for Welsh people. So the same thing for Scottish people. But when you think about African American people, they would use English, especially with a kind of different accent, because they have created their own English with an English. So that's why those days we don't say English, but we say Englishes. So you see.
Very interesting. The essence of what you created as an educationalist obviously led you on to other creative forms, and the amount of work that you've created is available on all social media platforms. If any of our listeners would like to go onto YouTube or any platform, the media content of Mr. Tugray Evran is quite extensive and does highlight one common theme, and that is the call for social justice, a universal theme.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Since English is a language of the world, then, you know, you want to do something and you want to appeal to the conscience of humanity. So it turns into a kind of course, advantage if you use it for highlighting, you know, the oppressed nations. So you see there's kind of something different. But what I can say, you know, the first time when I started writing songs, first I wrote some rap songs for teaching English. Yeah. And I collaborated with a kind of rapper and English teacher called Jason R. Levin. You know, he had also a kind of nickname, Fluency MC. And then we saw that the songs that we have produced were used, you know, in some different countries. And even I saw that like one teacher teaching English, you know, as a second language. So an American teacher started using our songs in the classroom. So the initial purpose was actually to teach English, you know, through some songs. And, you know, that time we were creating rap songs. Yeah. So that was the initial purpose. Then how did, you know, it evolve into social justice? So almost 8 or 9 years ago, you know, in Turkey, there are millions of Syrian refugees. So when the civil war started in Syria, unfortunately, like many Syrians, you know, they became asylum seekers in Turkey. And that time I wanted to create kind of global awareness about Syrian refugee kids. And it is interesting, almost the same time, you know, Kes Stevens, Yusuf Islam, he produced one song dedicated to Syrian people. And I also produced, you know, a similar song in the same topic. And then Yusuf Islam, that time went to the prime minister, and my song has reached President Erdogan. And both songs, you know, were played in some kind of international programs. Because like every year in Turkey, we've got one day dedicated to the children, 23rd April, Children's Day. So, and President Erdogan, you know, would have a kind of gathering with children from many different countries. And then, you know, when I heard that President Erdogan wanted to use my song in that program, I was very surprised because it was our first professional work. And suddenly, you know, there was a very big coverage on the media. Yeah, so my story started, you know, with that. So first I wanted, you know, to create kind of some consciousness about what's happening in Syria and for like Syrian people. And then, you know, I kept writing.
So with the evolution of your, what do you call it, the unique selling point of your message, you started off in getting the English language to a broader audience by, again, being very innovative with the rap aspect, because the younger generation now, and all of us, and I'm sure our listeners also know that a new generation of our children or nephews, nieces, etc., and grandchildren, whatever generation, is more familiar with rap. It's a very good medium in which to get a message across. How did you find that in terms of getting the English language promoted? Because you said there's many versions of English. Yeah. Which version did you create with this? Because it sounds like you created something totally unique.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, even kind of the background that I came from, it was something controversial. So the first time, even my friends, they thought when they learned that, I was creating some rap songs, they said like, Tuga, what are you doing? Because I mean, like, especially, in Muslim societies, like many people thought rap is something kind of, there is a dispute about rap. So it was kind of revolutionary for my culture, for my society as well. But then, rap is a kind of speaking, and when you sing it, of course, very fast, even in English, it's not that easy to understand. But, we made it kind of educational, so we made it slower. So it was a mixture of hip hop and rap so that the people could catch. But for children, it becomes like, as educators, we have got that responsibility. We need to bring education and entertainment together. Now they coin a new word, they say edutainment. So, I mean, when your students are in the classroom, they are getting bored. But then when you start playing a rap song, imagine, and that rap song continues, present continuous or simple present tense. So, kids start having some energy, they are enjoying, and they start learning fast as well. So I saw that really, it became kind of very, very useful for children.
Indeed. I mean, Mahmood, bringing you in here now, we're from a cultural background of the Indian subcontinent. And historically, from our part of the world, music has always delivered great messages. I mean, people may think what Tugre is saying about people frowning upon rap or music. Turkey, of course, got a huge tradition of Sufism and traditions and zikr, and the great traditions of the whirling dervishes. When people say Islamic, is it really Islamic to enhance dance through meditation, through that, literally the whirlwind of feeling of emotion. And anyone knows worldwide, the whirling dervishes are worldwide famous for the ecstatic adulation they have for our Creator, the Almighty. And from that form, rap is just another alternative, is another route to the same kind of destination, which is to seek a message to get it to a wider audience, right? And Mahmood, with us from the Indian subcontinent, we've got the history of ghazals, we've had the history of poetry, we've got so many great writers. One gentleman with the same name as you is Faiz Ahmed Faiz, right? And just this one little example, and we had a little discussion before we went live on air that some great poets have emanated from the Indian subcontinent, but the basis of their poetry has been from Farsi, from Arabic, and from Turkish, right? So how do you see this? You think that messaging can also be through rap, right? I mean, you're a liberal Democrat politician, and I'm sure you've done collaborations with many musicians as well, right?
Well, Assalamu alaikum again, and thank you very much. I mean, you're absolutely right. Faiz al-Faizi, one of the greatest names in poetry and literature. Unfortunately, if you heard me speak Urdu, he would turn in his brain. So I'm absolutely terrible in Urdu. I spent too long in England, spent my life here. But if you look at any singer, any poet from anywhere in the world, they don't appeal to that world, to that country, to that country. They appeal worldwide.
Yes.
To any song, the preamble is the poetry.
Yes.
And poetry touches the soul.
Yes.
Regardless of what religion you are, what ethnicity you are.
Yeah.
So poetry and religion, I think, is the way forward to build a greater understanding across the globe.
Yes.
I have a very good sort of picture on my Twitter which shows two sort of blood, bags. And it says, "Hey, racist, if your child is dying and needs a blood fusion, pick the white one." And that's exactly it. Essentially, we are all the same.
Indeed.
And people will find any reason to try and sort of build hatred into us. Kashmir struggle is not about that. It's about 90,000 foreign occupation forces in our country who are given a free hand to commit atrocity, who have been accused of atrocity. And the people under the Pakistan, they don't actually have a voice. The press officer of Kashmir actually has Indian soldiers inside it and on the gate. So imagine this on radio. As you are there, there's a soldier standing right in front of you, how well or fair will your program be? Or allow social media. No press allowed. Nobody's allowed. The only way what is allowed is poetry and song. We can still spread the word. We can still get the message across.
Indeed. The resonance of that is worldwide. And obviously for many of our listeners also know that the great traditions of, again, I'll go back to Indian civilization, our cultural heritage with Buddhism and with so many poets and so many avatars coming from Hinduism and also from the Sikh faith, who have a great rich tradition of poetry and the essence of music, which delivers a message. And obviously, in relation to other religions, other cultures, the one unifying theme is that tune, the tune of harmony, right? The tune of harmony, which then literally is resonated. Like we're talking now, we're broadcasting, but the tune, which, if you look historically, used to emanate from people, from their heart, from their soul, was their feeling. Hence, in the modern day era, you have in the 60s the great theme of soul music. It was the reaching out to a greater audience of the oppression of it, within that relevance is the African American story. And it was best expressed through soul music. And it wasn't just a cultural thing. It was deeply religious, rooted in gospel music, rooted in reaching out audiences, which is a common theme, which was, again, humanity. And the only outreach when the African American community were restricted in all aspects of public life until the laws were enforced and they came in, and some very bright thinking legislators in the United States at the time, spearheaded by some great people, including John F. Kennedy and his whole administration at the time, which reduced all barriers. The only way the African American community could communicate was through music. And anyone who would be listening to that then realized, hang on, there's a commercial aspect. Again, entertainment. Tugre, we're talking about entertaining.
Yeah.
You had the white audiences who were segregationists at the time, listening to black musicians, because there was only radio at the time. And then when TV came in, then it became essential that the message has been delivered, because people reached out and heard the struggle.
Yeah.
In your case, when we talk about Kashmir, where is that voice reaching out to, Mahmood? Who is listening? Is the world? Do you feel the world is listening?
Well, I am Chair Liberal Democrat Friends of Kashmir. We're liberal, we believe in liberty and democracy. And the voice of people of Kashmir is reaching out to those people, not just in the United Kingdom, but across the globe. And Brother Truge's song on Kashmir, the last one I think was 28 million downloaded.
Incredible.
Or listened to rather.
Incredible.
Across social media platform. And that's not just saying the United Kingdom or Kashmir, that's across the globe, including India.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
I think the event we're organizing, World the 100, is a great way to sort of get the communities involved, get the communities on board, get the younger community on board, let them take the baton up,
Yes.
you know, and let the young people learn the history of Kashmir and what's going on. Because as I said before, if you realize you don't hear much on Kashmir news, because no journalist is allowed. No journalist is allowed. Even Indian radio stations that are basically owned by a few companies, even they're not allowed. The Hindu newspaper reported nearly 10,000 girls have gone missing in Kashmir since up to 1923. We're 2 years ahead. How many have gone missing since? Yeah. Drugs are being trafficked in. Every 12 minutes, one person walks into hospital for drug rehabilitation. That was unheard of. So how are these drugs getting there? When there's 90,000 military, for every 6th person, there's a soldier there. Who's instigated? Witnesses have said they have been offered drugs while inside a police station. we have to look at that and we have to learn about that. And we have to ask some serious questions. There was quite a few back 10, 15 years ago. We had in Newham town hall, we had a discussion on Kashmir. And one of the councillors, he said, Fad, people don't talk about Kashmir because they don't see the bodies piling up on the television screen. Until they see that, they won't. And the right-wing extremists know that. And that's what they're doing. They're stopping you. They're hiding everything. Not from the world, but from the people of India themselves. Because, we're in London. We're very diverse. We have friends from all cultures. Yeah? And imagine my Indian from their family could actually learn that what's being done in their name. We're all human. We all have a soul.
Indeed. Yeah. I mean, the first, well, they say it's a cliche what I'm saying, but the first casualty of a struggle is the truth, right? The actual word is the first casualty of war is the truth, but the struggle, any movement, any cry for justice is always going to be suppressed. But what you just said regarding the, obviously very, very sad to hear the details, which again, it's new because we don't know what you're telling even myself. It's the first I've heard of the extent of this. I know, of course, the reality of what's happening on the ground there and reports, but the extent of what you're explaining seems to be deeper and getting worse. But the other side of what you said, when I asked you, how is the voice getting heard? It's through social media, right? Where the songs about Kashmir, I Am Kashmir was one of the songs. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. But the millions and millions of people who've listened to that in the English language as well.
Yeah.
Again, it's a kind of how that's been created with your background in English and then your background in collaborating. And the singer in question is an American artist, Della Miles, who also collaborated with Michael Jackson and with Whitney Houston, two of the biggest stars in the world. So, Tugri, after the break, we're going to go into that because I think our listeners will be really interested to hear about that. Because how does Tugri Evren and Mahmoud Faiz and Michael Jackson, how are they connected? And we're going to find out about that. So, listeners, just bear with us. We're going to a short break and join us after the short break with Mr. Tugri Evren and Mr. Mahmoud Faiz. Thank you.
Ya Nabi salam alayka, Ya Rasul salam alayka, Ya Habib salam alayka, salawatullah alayka, rahmatun ki taaj
पानी के बगैर जिंदगी का तसव्वुर नामुमकिन है। दुनिया भर में तकरीबन 2 अरब से ज्यादा लोग ऐसे हैं जिनको पीने का साफ और महफूज पानी मुयस्सर नहीं। रोजमर्रा के इस्तेमाल के साथ साथ पीने के लिए इन्हें आलूदा पानी पर इन्हिसार करना पड़ता है, जिसकी वजह से बच्चे या बड़े सब मुख्तलिफ बीमारियों का शिकार हो जाते हैं जो अक्सर जानलेवा साबित होती हैं। इस रमजान मुबारक मिनहाज वेलफेयर फाउंडेशन की वाटर फॉर ऑल अपील का हिस्सा बनिए। आप सिर्फ 180 पाउंड से एक छोटा हैंडपंप नस्ब कर सकते हैं जो 15 खानदानों को साफ पानी उनकी दहलीज पर मुहैया करते हैं। नस्बशुदा हैंडपंप की रिपोर्ट और दीगर तफसीलात डोनर को मुहैया कर दी जाती हैं ताकि वो जान सके कि उनकी अमानत हकदारों तक मुहैया कर दी गई है। मिनहाज वेलफेयर फाउंडेशन को अपनी ज़कात, सदका या खैराती अतियात देने के लिए अपने मकामी MWF ऑफिस 12 कार रोड, नेल्सन, BB9 7JS तशरीफ लाएं। हमें 01282-723-455 पर कॉल करें या हमारी वेबसाइट www.minhajwelfare.org पर देखें। ताज़ा तरीन वीडियोस और अपडेट्स के लिए फेसबुक, Instagram और Twitter पर जुड़े रहें।
Thinking of selling or letting your property? Need someone reliable to find the best prospect for your home? Well, look no further. Cameron Adams is here to take care of all your needs. Our professional and experienced team will guide you through the entire process and ensure you find the right client for your property. For a no obligation quotation, contact us now on 0208 558 2000. That's 0208 558 2000. Or visit us at 30 Church Lane in Leytonstone. Cameron Adams, always at your service.
Thinking about selling or letting your home? With Maxwell Estates, you don't need to look any further. Well established with over 15 years of experience, Maxwell Estates are specialists in residential sales and lettings. We manage over 200 properties in and around Northwest London, keeping our landlords and tenants updated with all the latest laws and legislations. Based in Edgware, our experienced specialist negotiators always ensure we maximize the full potential of your property. Call us now on 0208 952 0808 for a free no obligation quotation, or visit our website www.maxwellestates.co.uk for further information. Maxwell Estates, the name you can trust.
अगर आपकी सोशल हाउसिंग की रिहाइश में कोई मसला हो तो छुटकारा पाने का तरीका जानें। अगर आपने अपने लैंडलॉर्ड से शिकायत की है और आप उसके जवाब से खुश नहीं हैं, तो आप हाउसिंग ओम्बड्समैन को शिकायत भेज सकते हैं। पिछले साल हाउसिंग ओम्बड्समैन ने लैंडलॉर्ड
Looking to get your finances in order?
Nikah,
MR Accountants
talaq,
has you covered.
counseling on matrimonial disputes, Islamic wills, Islamic law of inheritance, or an Islamic verdict on any other issue. The Muslim Sharia Council is at your service. We provide official certification, and our experienced and highly qualified imams are available to provide you with guidance when needed. MQI London is based at 292 to 296 Romford Road, Forest Gate. We are open from Monday to Friday, 2 to 4 p.m. or alternatively, call us now on 0208 257 1786.
Revive FM.
94.0. On the radio.
On your mobile.
And online.
Welcome back, listeners, to Revive FM, and on our show today, Kashmir, the continuing struggle. The struggle continues, and we are with our guests, Mr. Tugray Evren, our guest, special guest from Turkey, and Mr. Mahmoud Faz, the chair for Liberal Democrats, Friends of Kashmir. Just before the break, we were talking about the connection between Tugray Evren, Mahmoud Faz, and Michael Jackson. So, gentlemen, please enlighten us. Della Miles is the common connection, and tell us about the collaboration, how that happened, because Della Miles worked with Michael Jackson and with Whitney Houston, so two of the greatest recording artists of all time, and she has sung about Kashmir.
I mean, Della Miles, in the past, she collaborated with Michael Jackson, and with Whitney Houston. She was her back vocalist for 6 years, and they traveled to many different countries. So, and actually, she is one of the greatest voices. So, interestingly, she decided to search about Islam, and then, she settled down in Turkey. And there was an occasion, one journalist called me, and the journalist knew that I was creating, some songs, and he said, if you want, I can bring you together and maybe you can collaborate. So through an event, we came together. And when I mentioned about, Kashmir and Palestine and this kind of issues, she was really very interested. Yes. And that time she was already influenced by Islam, and she said, apart from her Muslim identity, as a human being, she wanted to do something. She said, normally for many singers, it is kind of very risky to get involved in a political issue or even humanitarian issue. But, sometimes you take some big countries against you, So, but she said, no matter what happens, I'm ready to help you. And then we have created the first song, Kashmir is my name. And that song, I think I didn't know that it was the first international song in the history of Kashmir. So sometimes
Mahmood,
just
would you say that's fair?
Yeah,
The first
yeah,
song, yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
Yeah. And then the song became an issue between India and Pakistan because suddenly Pakistan President, Arif Alvi, he also shared the song on the social media. And then some Indian TV channels, they targeted, they made news about that song, and they started a campaign about kind of removing that song from YouTube. And one day I checked the video and I saw that the video had received almost like more than 300,000 dislikes because they wanted to get it removed from YouTube.
But still there.
Yeah, because later on, the likes passed, it became a kind of struggle. So, some people wanted to keep. And then, it has reached millions of people, so many news in different languages, and the budget was very small. Honestly, we had a very small budget for that song. But I believe if you put your heart, because see, art is a kind of shelter. It is a refuge. Because, we mentioned about rap song, hip hop or jazz. Actually, all these forms of music are associated with oppressed people. And the people are trying to reflect, their feelings through art. So some people told me that, this song became more effective than maybe 100 articles written about Kashmir because so many people, heard about that one. And that's also something scary, for unfortunately some regimes as well, because they want to suppress the voice of the people. So, Brother Mahmoud, he already mentioned the predicament of the Kashmiri people. Imagine that you are being killed, you are being oppressed, but your voice is also being suffocated, your voice is also being repressed. So although you are being killed, but still you have no right to raise your voice. And I think at this point, art has got a great responsibility to play.
Yeah, indeed. And Mahmood, I'm sure you agree that whilst the plight of Kashmir has been put forward for so many decades by a variety of social activists and people promoting the rights of Kashmir and the Kashmiris, something that has always resonated with me, that when we spoke years and years ago, I asked you, this is the only thing I'm going to say to kind of show how this conversation is about humanity. And you said something really beautiful last time, and I'm going to remind you of it. It was about the rights of the Kashmiri Pandits, of welcoming them back in and living in harmony in Kashmir. And you said that, of course, it's that position.
The reason we work on that, the Kashmiri Pandits, people may not know, are part of the struggle.
Yes.
They have struggled.
Yes.
They have stood together
with
their Muslim sisters and brothers. We are friends and neighbors. If a Muslim woman gets raped, they don't see as a Muslim woman getting raped. They see that we see as a woman getting raped.
Indeed.
Across the globe.
Yes.
And rape has been used as a weapon of war, which is actually illegal under the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So, and many have been killed mysteriously. One particular one, I can't recall his name. He used to actually present the subpoenas at the court, and mysteriously he was shot dead during the night. We don't know who, but we can assume who would have killed him.
Yeah.
Then there's others that have openly spoken. And funny enough, one of them actually spoke about and said that Yasin Malik, the child, Jake Kalab, was a hero to the nation. And that's the kind of voice they're suppressing. Then you spoke about social media. Well, I had a tweet sent to me by Twitter. And he said, Mr. Faith, you have broken no community rules, but we have been told not to allow by the Indian government not to allow your tweets to be shown in India. I haven't broken anyone. Elon Musk, if you're really for freedom of speech like you say, then where's the my freedom of speech, which is enshrined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It's actually in the preamble even, not just the document, but the preamble to the document. This is how far India is afraid of the truth. It's allergic to the truth. Not just India, but remember, India is an extreme right-wing government. And all extreme right-wing governments are afraid of extremists of the truth. Because they can't put the blindfold on the people under the preamble of, the right-wing extremism, and that's one of them. Yeah, we need to get the voice out, and this is our new platform to move forward with it, really.
And going back to what you said, the essence is a identity of a people. Identity through language, through cultural heritage, through basic shared historical connections. And you believe that the Kashmiris have a shared historical connection, regardless of religion.
Yeah, I mean, we have a very strong. We're going to say that Kashmir is never part of the British Raj. Before it's been an independent country, the British could never control us, and now with 90,000 Indian soldiers, they can't control us. And that's fully armed close to every sixth person. It's United Nations officially figured out the most militarized zone in the world. And because our culture, our demographic, our way of doing things is entirely different. And so whether someone Sikh, Muslim, Hindu, it's humanity that we hold dear and our identity. And what the right-wing government of Modi is doing is trying to dilute that. One way they're doing it by giving citizenship to people who are not Kashmiris. And remember, India has a population of 1.4 billion. We are only 8 million in Indian-occupied Kashmir. So it's easy for them simply to run in and change everything. That's what they're doing. But I said the culture is different. Only recently reported that Indian men were going around filming Kashmiri women because Kashmiri by nature are white in color. They're doing things like that. Girls are going missing. And the other way they're doing it is institution. The institution is, they're taking young people from schools, colleges, and giving them trips to Bollywood. That's not education. That's cultural change. Yeah. And they're doing it with the films, the media, right across. We are on a full-scale war, not just physically, but in an attack on our identity and our culture. We've been attacked from the capable of being attacked from every angle possible, with might of the 900,000 soldiers backing up and there. But we're resilient people. We believe in the potential of our strength lies in standing and speaking strong. And inshallah, we will see the day when extremists, not only from India, from Kashmir, and across many other countries, and even in Europe now, extremism is very high. It's one of the most acts of terrorism that commits in the United Kingdom. They will be defeated.
The common theme in there is obviously reconciliation, I believe, right? For the Kashmiri people, free of oppression, free from tyranny, free from oppression is a theme going all over the world.
Yeah.
It's a very unfortunate reality, but the essence of why I brought up this particular issue is because just like 6 years ago when we first talked about it, you still have the same hope that people of, regardless of creed, race, and heritage, as Kashmiris, can all live together.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. My grandfather fought for Kashmir. My father fought for Kashmir. I'm fighting for Kashmir. My children will fight for Kashmir. You can have 900,000 soldiers, but eventually you will run out of numbers. We'll still be there.
That is the enduring message. And when we look at the heritage of the particular part of the Indian subcontinent, it is one thing that people forget. And you brought it up nicely. Kashmir has always historically been independent.
Yes.
That's the part which has been missing in the narrative. It's an assumption that's been made that it has sought secession.
Yeah.
And that is the part when I have discussions with people many times, I said you've got to the base foundation of it is not from the point of seeking secessionism, is actually reaffirming independence.
Yeah.
That's the difference. It's not. It was always as an independent entity.
Yes. Reworking it back to full independence.
Yes.
And the thing is, what would independent Kashmir achieve? What would the disadvantage? Independent Kashmir would for straight away achieve peace between Marxism-Bad in Pakistan and Marxism-Bad in India.
Yes.
It would act as a buffer zone. The only people there's always losers. The only people that would lose are the armed suppliers, the military who get the backhanders for buying the military, and the politicians. I don't know about you, sir, but if the only losers are the armed suppliers and the military and the politicians who take backhanded, I'm going to sleep at night very peacefully.
Yeah, well, I think you've hit the nail right on the head there. I think that applies to unfortunately, a big proportion of all the struggles and international wars that are creating. So unfortunately, you're wrapped in that dilemma as well. If we shift a little bit forward to the whole prospect of obviously the work that you're doing, Mahmood, with social activism, how did this collaboration with Tugre Evran spark? Because for our listeners, just to know, Tugre has not only written and composed pieces of work and poetry and music about Kashmir, but also, as you mentioned previously, about Syria, but also about Palestine and also about Azerbaijan. So there's a common kind of theme of addressing injustice and responding to that through the medium of music and poetry. So, Mehmet, how did you find the connection with Tugre?
There's a very important connection. Humanity. That's what connects us all. Doesn't matter what color we are, what religion you are, what country we're from, we're all human. We all bleed red. And how Brother Tugre came close over social media. And then Brother Tugre produced a song, and we needed funds for that. And we needed a very short notice. But luckily, the Muslim community and the community in Newham and Watford is such great people, such generous people. And we were able to collect them with 2 days notice we gave people. And I think it was about 10 people, maybe, just that. And we collected what we needed for the song we produced. And then we said, let's not stop there. Let's move forward with another one. Don't worry about the money. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it, And so that's the one we work. Brother has made now the story of Kashmir. Just the small clip, because the song is not officially been launched worldwide. We launched worldwide in Meat and Eat in Wolverhampton. The Meat is spelled MEAT, as in meat. It's a steakhouse. And just now, I think, was it 100,000 the other day in about 2 days?
Yeah.
So we're doing, very well. We've raised the fund. Now we're doing this event, which Liberal Democrats are quite proud to be involved in. And what it is, it's around trying to make another song on Kashmir, because we think that the Indian government may try and hang Yassin Malik, which will destabilize the region further. It won't work any favor. It maybe work politically just for the extreme right-wing Modi regime. But if we can get the voice out of people and support it through music internationally, we can perhaps stop that. Because in Liberal Democrats and in the United Kingdom, we don't believe hanging. There's one thing with hanging you remember. It legitimizes murder. When you hang someone, you're killing someone. It is legitimizing murder. In the United Kingdom, we value life and value life in the Liberal Democrats. That's why we're happy to be supporting this event, taking on the 5th of February and meeting in Wolverhampton.
Yes, and the venue is the Meet and Eat restaurant in Wolverhampton. And the collaboration there is, interesting enough, with a restaurateur, David, who's hosting it. He's done something very interesting, ladies and gentlemen. He created a specific platter dish on his restaurant menu, and dedicated all the proceeds to the plight of the cause of Palestine, and now he's going to create a dish for Kashmir with all the that's again it's a coming together of communities and reaching out to respond to what is basically something that's been going on so many years, but now the innovative ways through social media. You met Tugre through social media and through that connection, and I'm sure that this event will be highly successful, and no doubt the community once again and the locals who are fortunate enough to be in the area will get to not only see something innovative from the side of Tugre's music and his poetry, his composition, and Mahmoud, your social activism connection with the Liberal Democrats who are basically endorsing this, but also long-standing having a dish dedicated for all proceeds going to Kashmir. So again, through breaking bread, through sitting around a table, people will be remembering a greater purpose and connecting with a greater purpose. And what, despite all the tragedies and the horrific incidents, it's the very essence of hearing good music and hearing good compositions and breaking bread around a table to remember the plight of people who are suffering. So best of luck with that event, and hopefully that'll be hugely successful. It's interesting to note that the ways in which causes and social justice movements are being relayed and promoted now are in step with what social media is developing. So now I'm sure you're going to have it on Instagram and TikTok, and that can go, obviously that can be launched with already the music that Tugre is producing, composing, having so many social media hits and the way that the algorithms move. It's incredible how that messaging can go out. So despite the restrictive efforts of whoever will try and restrict, you can't, as you said quite nicely, if Senor Elon Musk is anywhere in the airwaves, freedom of speech is for everybody, right? Because otherwise not freedom. So it's a catch-22, because then pure freedom means pure freedom. There's no halfway house, right? I'm from a generation which, when we were growing up, the biggest freedom struggle, unfortunately, are still outstanding, which is the question of Palestine and the question of Kashmir, totally unresolved for how many decades? Ukraine as well. And Ukraine is our modern day kind of pointer to look us back in the mirror of humanity, and is actually confronting us. And so the same, very, very nicely put there. If we can look in the mirror and we're questioning about Ukraine, that same mirror is also shouting back at us and asking us about Palestine, the Palestinians, asking about Kashmir, the Kashmiris. And at one time, that mirror from my generation, what I brought up, it was asking about South Africa. And I still remember very vividly, not to embarrass a lot of the people in the United Kingdom, but it is a fact, ladies and gentlemen, that 45 years ago, 50 years ago, it was taboo to mention a certain gentleman called Nelson Mandela. Taboo, edited, restricted.
Well, the next song will be on Yassin Malik. So, hopefully that will be the next free Yassin Malik, free Nelson Mandela type of song.
And I don't know if you remember, but there was a whole bunch of media creations which emanated to highlight the cause of South Africa. And it's through music. It was actually through music and through compositions. And Tugre Evren has followed in that kind of model about oppressed peoples and social activism, when maybe, we look at Della Miles as that stepping stone, a person that obviously with a reach for the United States and that vocal talent can resonate with just what happened with the South African cause. It was the United States, through music and through promotion, that Nelson Mandela and musical artists, and then concerts, and then getting the voice out to the youth who then saw the social injustice. I think it's the youth. I think our generation is the one that has to look back in that mirror, Mahmoud, all of us, our group, the mid-50s and above, we have to look in that mirror and say, hang on, this mirror has been shouting at us for many decades, and we're just looking back at the mirror, not doing anything. But the younger generation, I think there's great hope in there. And I hope that not only this event kind of highlights this great idea of a platter of food, and all proceeds for Kashmir is innovative, but also the music. The music is everlasting.
Yeah, I mean, actually, the name of the new song we're going to launch is The Story of Kashmir. And I can say, what we are trying to do, we are also trying to retell the stories of all these oppressed, people through music. So that's why the verse story is one of the key verses in my songs.
Yes.
I start like, I will tell you now a story of a land. So always I refer to the story. So basically, we are trying also kind of to create an awareness, of these stories often, go unnoticed or sometimes ignored. And I hope that like in the future, all these efforts are going to, make a humble contribution to the liberating, struggle of these nations.
And with that, Mahmoud, reconciliation.
Yeah.
That's the biggest, I think it's the key point where nobody feels left out. Nobody's left behind. Everyone, I guess, have their own struggles, right? And if that voice can be heard, and if it resonates and hits us, like it hits anyone, it has to be something where we have to put all the resources together. And I'll leave you gentlemen to say the final note before we finish our show today. It's been a pleasure to talk to Mr. Tugri Evren and Mr. Mahmoud Fez, and I'll leave the two gentlemen on the final note to close our show. This has been Ali Fateh on behalf of Revive FM. And one of the comments here, Tugri is not only a great writer, but a great believer of freedom and human rights.
Yeah.
That's from our listeners who are sending in comments.
Yeah.
So please.
So it was an honor and pleasure for me, to join this program. I just want to conclude, my remarks referring to, a saying of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Once Prophet Muhammad was sitting with, some of the prominent companions, and he told them, even if your brother is oppressed or oppressor, support your brother. And the companions were surprised. The companions said, okay, O Prophet, we understand if he is oppressed, we should support that person. But if he is an oppressor, and Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, if your brother is an oppressor, keep him from oppressing. So when you keep your brother from oppressing, actually you are supporting your brother. So that's why we should always, no matter what belief, what religion we have, we should try to have a kind of, empathy and sympathy with the oppressed people.
I think Mahmoud, you're going to join me in Alhamdulillah with that on the final note.
Absolutely. Our faith, our Muslim, my Islamic faith teaches me that number one is humanity. So doesn't matter what creed, color you are, speak up for humanity.
अगर आप सोशल हाउसिंग में रहते हैं और कोई मसला हो तो शिकायत करने का तरीका